That is not something I've seen anywhere else. It's an incredible feature. The T2 bulb here has a much better blue color. Does it work with a neutral? Does it work without a neutral? Well, the answer to both of those questions is yes. Hello automators, I have 4 new products right here from Aqara, and they have some incredible features that I'm going to show you today. Let's give her. This is the new Aqara T2 Smart Light Bulb. That doesn't sound like a very exciting product until you find out that it is both Zigbee capable and matter over thread. Look at all those platforms you can use this with. Now you can buy a couple of versions of this light bulb, but already getting it out of the box looks great. But I'm going to show you some more features in just a moment. This is Aqara's T2, and these are Philips Hue. These are like $60 in Canada, okay? Sometimes they're more. It's an insane price point. Now this is brighter than these. Now they're 800 lumen bulbs. This is 950. I've brought all 3 of these into Homey's app. They're going to be used for my control in the kitchen here going forward. But what's really interesting is how much better the color reproduction is on this light. First of all, this is an extremely low Kelvin color temperature. What's amazing about this bulb is it's 2000 Kelvin right now. So yes, it's a bit of a different color. You can adjust these, but let's go over to blue and you're gonna see a big difference here. Now these lights are all at the same brightness. So the T2 bulb here has a much better blue color in it, even at this low brightness. Now let's move to green and you're gonna see the same thing again. And it's even clearer when we go to purple. This Philips Hue bulb, this is pink. This one's pink too. Purple very clearly here in the T2, and even in red, we're getting a better red here. These are almost orange, and I have to play with the colors to get them to the right spot with Philips Hue. But here, this is a bright, clear red. The bulb from Aqara produces colors way better. It looks more realistic and it's a lot more fun to look at. And on top of that, one of the great pieces of Philips Hue has always been how fast they respond to requests to control them. Well, I'm going to control all 3 at the same time. The fastest bulb is Aqara's every single time. It's the one winning the race. So it's beating Philips Hue lighting across the board. The 3 light switches here, different switches or different strokes for different folks. Now the first one, this is a 2-button with a single channel Zigbee, and again, matter over thread light switch. This one's 2 buttons, 2 channel, and this one's 4 buttons with 3 channels. Now what does that mean? Well, the number of buttons mean the number of different automations that you can set up, but the number of channels means the number of different, essentially, circuits you can control at your light switch. So this one can control 3 different things. So you could replace a 3-gang light switch potentially with this and still have an extra button left over to do more. All of these light switches, all of these lighting products, they have some common aspects to them here. So you're getting some of the hardware you're going to need for your light switch installation. Of course, you're going to have some wire nuts, things like that. But maybe the most important question, or the one that I always get as soon as I open up something like this, is does it work with a neutral? Does it work without a neutral? Well, the answer to both of those questions is yes. Aqara has designed this to work with a neutral and without a neutral. Now there's a couple of features that will require you having a neutral, but in general, you can use this with or without. Today, it doesn't matter. I really like the soft touch of these buttons. The wall plate itself, it's going to come apart into a couple of pieces here, but Aqara has put a little bit of branding on the bottom. I'm sure you could replace this faceplate if you wanted to. On the back, you know, this one, again, it has 4 buttons and 3 channels. So that's why we have 3 L lines. They're easily read labels here on the top. They've also given us a number of labels. Not that you can't create your own labels, but that's really nice to have in the box. And then of course, we got a couple of little manuals for us to help with the install process, but Aqara always gives us really great instructions. A couple of things I like reading on here: overheat and overload protection. That 2-in-1 neutral capability. We have power monitoring on these as well. And of course, you have a little LED light on these, completely configurable, and you can convert each of these buttons to a wireless switch. That means it doesn't necessarily have to control the load. And that's one of the most interesting aspects of these launches from Aqara. If I wanted to combine these 2 products on the same light, well, normally we'd have trouble controlling something like this. You turn off the light switch and then it turns off the power to the light bulb. Well, these are configurable in a way that can keep the power to this light bulb on. So that can give you a lot of options from an automation standpoint, a lot different than other smart switches. So let me show you now a couple of things that are really great about each of these products. After having lived with these switches for a little bit, I really like them. I think they're some of the best smart switches out there today, but with the 3 versions, there's kind of a reason for each. Now, I've actually wired in the 2-button single channel light. You can see I turned off, that was actually Aqara's bulb. Because it has a traveler wire on it, it can work in a 3-way switch configuration very easily. This other 2-channel 2-switch version, well, it's ready for 2 different loads. So this is more gonna replace 2 switches in your home. Same with this one. It has 3 different loads on it. But again, no traveler wire. So when you're looking at these switches, you will have to look a little bit at the situation in your home. But with the ability to use these with or without a neutral, they're gonna work in a lot of homes. One of the absolute best features on this is that I have a wireless switch. So I've connected this switch to Amazon using Matter, and now I have access to 2 buttons. And this button is controlling this bulb physically through the electrical system, and then this bulb is being controlled through this routine that I created in Amazon. I'm controlling 2 different sources, a non-smart bulb and a smart bulb up here. Now, I also have the extra switch. So when I turn that on, now I have both of my lights on, but I've created a second routine, and you can see it did turn off that smart bulb there. So you have this independent control option for your smart home. Really great stuff across all the Matter apps. Now, using this with Thread and Matter, it's actually showing up in the different apps that I'm bringing it into. So not only am I getting the physical control of the light bulbs, but I also have something else that I can create automations off of. This is working great. It comes across like any other switch, but depending on your platform, it might look and work a little differently. If you decide to not use these with Matter over Thread and instead use them as Zigbee light switches, then you get an additional feature that I think absolutely makes these one of the best options for people with smart bulbs in their lighting fixtures. I say that because you can physically decouple that. So you can leave the power on for your smart bulb in that situation. And that means you can still control this smart bulb using whatever app you'd like. That's an amazing feature, only available in Zigbee today. For those of you who are looking at bigger loads to control with a switch like this, watch the electrical ratings a little bit. Resistive loads only 10 amp maximum. You do have some minimums if you're not using a neutral wire with these switches. There are some minor restrictions that might catch you, but otherwise, these switches from Aqara have put the rest of the industry on notice as far as I'm concerned. Something else that I've been so impressed with is that I'm getting the power monitoring numbers in Homey's app. So this is coming through Matter over Thread. And so not only do I get the control of this switch, but I'm also getting these things to automate off of. One little thing as I go to pair these new lighting products from Aqara, they actually start up in Matter over Thread mode or Thread mode. And that's a bit of a prioritization by Aqara to moving into Thread with lots of their products. Kind of an interesting thing to see them do. You have to switch it over to Zigbee mode if you want to pair it with one of their hubs or another Zigbee hub that you have. You guys are not going to believe what Aqara has done when you pair these two products together. So I'm just going to start with a demonstration. Okay, this switch that turns off power to that light bulb. Okay, except with an Aqara T2 light bulb and any of these switches, I actually maintain control of the smart bulb. So there, I just hit the power button, you see it came back on. That is not something I've seen anywhere else. It's an incredible feature, and I maintain full control of any smart bulb from Aqara that I have connected to this light switch. This is just one of the many features that you gain when you connect the light switch and or the light bulb to Aqara through Zigbee. So there's some extra features you get with both of these products when you use Zigbee instead of the Thread protocol. And that's because Aqara is able to manage this through their hub. So that first feature I just showed you, it's called Mars Tech, and you can find this in the settings only when you've connected this switch through Zigbee into one of their hubs. You get to choose from 3 different options. So there's normal loads, which would be like a normal light bulb or whatever else you have connected, a smart load, which then allows me to pick Aqara's light bulbs and use those in this intelligent way that doesn't turn off the electricity to it, or pulse control. I don't know what we can do with that one. That one I haven't figured out just yet. You also get a couple of other options inside of the app. There's the switch relay lock. So that means it cannot be controlled via physical button, app, automation, scene, third-party voice control, and Apple HomeKit. It's basically locking this thing out. You also have custom press mode versus single press mode. That turns these buttons into a single press, a double press, and a long hold if you want them. The indicator light, you can reverse that. So when you're in the dark, the little indicator light on this switch will be on. So just a nice option for finding the switch in the dark. The last one you have is called quick two-way control. Now, this is a different idea. It basically means these two switches become on-off switches together. You can't use this with the Mars Tech. So I just changed my switch back to normal load, and that means the power does go off when I want it to. On the light bulb side, you get a few more features. Now, the biggest one, you're actually looking at it right now. You have dynamic scenes, and you can create some dynamic scenes for yourself inside of the app. They give you a bunch more scenes too. Then the other thing that you get are the dimming range settings. Now, this one, it just basically means you can trim off like the bottom 10% if you don't want your bulb to go that dim, and maybe the top 10% if you don't want it to go that bright. But these features, those ones that I just told you about, they're only available if you pair these products through Zigbee into Aqara's hub, into one of their hubs. So this is still a reason you might want to use Zigbee, especially with the fact that you can then use one of Aqara's hubs as a Matter bridge to the other platforms. Still giving you good reasons to use those hubs. Some of you might not like that idea, but these extra features have me pretty excited, especially the fact that I can use these two together. All right, automators, check out all the links down below if you're interested in these new products from Aqara. Great new options from them for your smart lighting around your home. Otherwise, you can check out other reviews of Aqara's new gear. That's in the playlist up on screen there. So check that out right now. You'll see other great products that they've released in the last year. Otherwise, thanks for watching today. And of course, live smart.